In this video, we're going to set up the project for our ASP.NET website, and we're going to use the code that we worked on from CSS Layout episode 18. Now, if you haven't watched that video yet and you need the source, you can go to that video. It's in the CSS Layout series, and I've created some links where you can get the source for the HTML and for the CSS. So you can go ahead and download those, and then we will be using this source for our ASP.NET website. Now, for the Rome picture, you can get this off of Google. If you just go to Google and type in ancient Rome, you'll see it about halfway down, but you can use any image that you want. So again, this is the code that we're going to use from that series. Now, the first thing we're going to do is create a folder that will contain all of our website files. So we're going to call that website, appropriately enough. And I'll just leave that on my desktop, but you can put it in any path that you want. Now what I want you to do is open up Visual Studio, and you should have installed this, so you should have Visual Studio Community. We're going to close out the start page. We don't need that. We're going to go to File, we're going to go to New, and we're going to select Website. Now there's a couple things we need to do here. I want you to select Visual C#. I want you to select ASP.NET empty website because we're going to create our own files for this website. Now, some of these other templates here will actually give you a website that basically is almost a complete website. But we want to start out from scratch because we're here to learn things. So we're going to start out with an ASP.NET empty website. In this drop-down, select .NET Framework 4.5.1. Now, it doesn't matter what version you use, if you have 5.0 or 4.5 or 4, because the concepts that we're going to be exploring in this series are very similar to all the framework versions. But we're going to go ahead and select 4.51. And down here, we're going to go ahead and browse the folder that we just created. So we're not going to use this default one that they created. We're going to actually use the one that we just created. And if I go up to desktop, I want to deselect this. We're going to select the website folder that we created. So let's hit open, and there you can see now we have it selected. And so now when I hit OK here, our new project will be created, and you'll see it in a second. So I hit OK. And you can see Microsoft is creating the project. Now, on the right here is Solution Explorer. This is basically like Windows Explorer. This contains our entire website. So all the files that we use in this series will now be on this right-hand side. It'll be right in here. And as you can see, we didn't get a lot. We got a web.config file, and we'll talk about that much later on. But we didn't get any other files. We don't have a CSS file here. We don't even have an HTML file because we didn't want that. Now what we're going to do is start adding some files and creating some folders. Now the first thing we want to do is create a central repository for all of our images that we're going to be using. So I want you to right click on website, this node right here, and you're going to go to add, and then we're going to add a new folder. And we're going to call that folder, appropriately enough, images. So this will contain all the images for our website. Now, we could just drop images in here if we wanted to, but this area would become very cluttered. So it's good to use folders for our images. So let's go ahead and minimize this now. And now what I want you to do is take the code that we used from CSS Layout episode 18, and we're going to drop all of this into our website folder that we're using for Visual Studio. And by the way, you can see here a couple files that the Visual Studio created for our website. And so those are the two default files that get put into our project folder. Now we're going to drag the image into our images folder, and then we're going to go ahead and drag in our HTML and our CSS files. Now what I want you to do is right click on our HTML file, and we're going to rename that to index. And I'll explain that later, but basically the standard that you will use for the front end page on your website is either going to be index or default. And we'll talk about that in future videos. But for now, we'll rename it index. So this is good. We've got all of our files here. So let's keep this open, and then let's open up Visual Studio again. And you'll notice that those files don't show up here. And that's because we still need to add them. Because we didn't add them in Visual Studio yet doesn't recognize that they're there. Now we can do this a couple different ways. One is you can go ahead and right click on the website node, and then you can go to add, and you can add all kinds of different things here. You can add a new item, and if we hit this add new item, you'll see here that we could add our HTML page if we wanted and all this stuff. But the easier way to do it is actually just to click and drag them in, and I'll show you how to do that. So let's just go ahead and resize our Visual Studio window here. And now what we're going to do is just drag our files into our Solution Explorer. And so let's go ahead and drag our image into images. And there you can see Solution Explorer is now aware of our image. And then let's go ahead and drag our index and our style sheet into our website. And you want to place it in the website, not down here or anything. Place it right over the website node. And there you can see now we've got our index.html, which is the first page of our website, and we've got our style sheet that we've been using in the CSS layout series. So let's close this out. Let's maximize our Visual Studio again. And this is working pretty good here. We've got our website that we were working on in the CSS layout series, and now it's ported to Visual Studio. Now, if we right-click on website, we can go ahead and view this in the browser. And you can pick whatever browser you want, but we're going to use Google Chrome here. So if we select that, you'll see that it looks exactly similar to the website that we designed in the CSS layout series. And you can see that it looks exactly the same, but the image isn't displaying. And the reason is that you will remember in the CSS layout tutorial, we had the image in the root folder, but now we've created another level. We created an images folder, and of course we didn't have that in the CSS layout series. So we need to edit our index.html. So let's browse down here and we'll find the path, and there you can see, right? This is pointing to a root level image, and of course that's not in the root directory anymore, it's in the images folder. So start typing images right here and you'll see how nice this is. Visual Studio recognizes that we had an images folder, so you can just select that. And then it pulls up the contents of that folder. And of course we want Rome.png. See how easy that is? We barely had to type anything out, and now we've got the right location. And now we need to change this actually to index.html and see how it pulls it up for us. And now everything is synced up. So let's go ahead and hit Save All. And now actually we can fire our website from this button right here. So if we just hit play, this will fire up our website in Google Chrome. So if we do that, you can see now that the image is displayed. Now this actually fires up the whole project. So it's in this debug mode. So what you want to do is go up here and hit stop debugging. We'll talk about this later on. For now though, we're in good shape. We've got our project set up. In the next video, we're going to talk about master and content pages. See you guys then.